93% of men go into attraction completely blind. They rely on assumptions, clichés, and outdated advice to try to understand what women really want. And the result is almost always the same: confusion, missed opportunities, and silent rejection. They follow scripts that were written by people who never actually understood the female mind in the first place. They repeat lines they heard in movies, they mimic behaviors they saw in friends who seemed successful, and they wonder why nothing ever clicks. The frustration builds quietly over years, manifesting as bitterness or resignation, until many men simply give up and convince themselves that attraction is random, that women are impossible to understand, or that they were just dealt a bad hand in life. But that is not the truth. The truth is far simpler and far more empowering. The truth is that attraction follows patterns, predictable patterns, patterns that can be learned, understood, and engaged with in a way that feels natural and authentic rather than forced and manipulative. The difference between the 93% who stumble through the dark and the 7% who move with clarity and purpose is not luck. It is not genetics. It is not wealth or status or any of the superficial markers that society tells men to obsess over. It is awareness. It is understanding. It is knowing the system well enough to navigate it with grace. But what about that other 7%? What do they understand that most men never grasp? They understand the system, not through manipulation, but through awareness. They understand that attraction is not a puzzle to be solved, but a language to be learned. They understand that women are not mysterious creatures operating on random whims, but human beings with deeply predictable psychological responses that have been shaped by millions of years of evolution and thousands of years of social conditioning. They understand that the same principles that govern attraction in one context will govern it in another, because these principles are rooted in the architecture of the human mind itself. They understand that the key is not to force attraction, but to create the conditions in which it naturally flourishes. They understand that confidence is not about being loud or aggressive, but about being grounded and unshakable. They understand that connection is not about saying the right words, but about creating the right energy. They understand that women are constantly reading between the lines, not because they are overthinking, but because they have been socialized to pay attention to subtle cues in ways that men often overlook entirely. The 7% understand all of this, and they apply it not as a set of tricks or techniques, but as a way of being in the world. They do not chase. They attract. They do not beg. They invite. They do not pressure. They create safety. And because they create safety, they create space for genuine desire to emerge. Today, you are joining that 7%. We are going through 11 psychological truths about women that most men never learned. These are principles that shape attraction, connection, and authentic desire. This is not about games or tricks. It is about communicating in a language that their minds and biology already naturally respond to. It is about understanding the deep structures that underpin attraction so that you can move through the world with clarity and purpose. It is about becoming the kind of man who does not need to manipulate because he is already aligned with the principles that naturally draw women toward him. It is about shedding the layers of confusion and frustration that have accumulated over years of trying to figure things out on your own and replacing them with a clear, grounded, and effective understanding of what actually works. This is not about becoming someone you are not. It is about becoming more fully who you already are, and learning to express that person in a way that resonates with the women you encounter. It is about removing the obstacles that prevent your natural qualities from being seen and learning to communicate your value in ways that feel authentic and effortless. Let's start with a truth that completely transcends logic. First fact, women fall in love through smell. It is something deeply primal, something that bypasses the conscious mind entirely and speaks directly to the oldest parts of the brain. Studies show that women have almost 50% more neurons dedicated to smell than men do. This means that the olfactory system in women is significantly more developed and more sensitive than it is in men. It is not just a minor difference. It is a profound biological distinction that shapes how women experience the world and how they form connections with others. When a woman is drawn to your natural scent, which represents genetic compatibility, her subconscious attraction increases significantly. She may not even be consciously aware of why she feels drawn to you. She may not be able to articulate it. But something in her body responds, something ancient and primal that predates language and culture and social convention. This is why wearing a clean, authentic, and subtle fragrance is worth far more than any witty line you could say. It is not about dousing yourself in cologne. It is about being clean, healthy, and mindful of how you present yourself at the most basic biological level. It is about understanding that attraction begins long before words are ever exchanged, and that the most powerful communication often happens beneath the level of conscious awareness. And this brings us to the second point. Women are deeply attracted to men who set boundaries. Think of boundaries as an emotional framework. They are not walls designed to keep people out. They are structures that define what is acceptable and what is not, what you will tolerate and what you will not, what you value and what you refuse to compromise on. A man with clear boundaries is not distant or cold. He is not harsh or punitive. He simply knows where he ends and someone else begins. He communicates stability and self-respect through his actions and his presence. He does not beg or chase. He does not abandon his own needs in order to please someone else. He does not sacrifice his integrity in the hope of earning affection. Instead, he connects from a place of wholeness, from a place of completeness that does not need validation from outside sources. And that creates security for the woman he is with. She does not have to carry his emotions. She does not have to manage his insecurities. She does not have to constantly reassure him or walk on eggshells around him. And that freedom allows attraction to exist. Attraction cannot flourish in a space that is crowded with neediness and desperation. It needs room to breathe. It needs the oxygen of emotional safety. And boundaries provide that safety. They create a container within which genuine connection can develop and deepen over time. It is not about playing hard to get. It is about being difficult to upset. It is about being so grounded in your own sense of self that external events do not easily destabilize you. It is about being a rock in the storm, a steady presence that others can rely on without feeling burdened by you. Third point, women often feel attraction before they show it. This is a critical insight that many men completely miss. They assume that if a woman is interested, she will make it obvious. They assume that attraction is something that is declared up front, clearly and unmistakably. But that is not how it works. Many women only consider romantic interest after first noticing your interest. Because outright rejection carries risks, because women have been socialized to be cautious and discerning, they tend to communicate through signals rather than direct declarations. They drop hints. They create openings. They test the waters before they commit to any kind of explicit expression of interest. Your role is not to pressure or demand clarity. Your role is to observe and respond calmly and confidently. It is to notice the subtle signs, the lingering glances, the playful touches, the conversations that seem to go a little deeper than surface level. It is to recognize that attraction is often a slow burn, a gradual unfolding, rather than an instant lightning strike. It is to understand that patience and perceptiveness are powerful tools, and that rushing a woman to declare her feelings before she is ready is a sure way to shut down the entire process. The wise man moves with patience. He lets attraction develop at its own pace. He creates space for the woman to feel safe enough to acknowledge her own feelings, and then he responds with grace and confidence when she does. The fourth fact explains something you have probably already noticed, even if you never mentioned it. Pre-selection. Women are subconsciously more attracted to men who are already desired by other women. It is a biological shortcut to value. Evolutionarily speaking, it made sense for women to look to other women for cues about which men were worth investing in. If other women found a particular man attractive and desirable, that was a reliable signal that he possessed qualities worth passing on to future generations. It is not about putting on an act. It is not about pretending to be popular or surrounding yourself with fake admirers. It is about building a genuinely rich social life. It is about being a man who appreciates people and is also valued by them, including women. When you are genuinely engaged with the world around you, when you have meaningful relationships and connections, when you are respected by the people in your life, that natural social proof radiates outward. Women pick up on it. They sense that you are someone who is valued by others, and that makes you more valuable to them. Attraction arises naturally in that context. It is not something you have to manufacture or force. It is something that emerges from the way you live your life. The 7% understand this intuitively. They do not isolate themselves or focus exclusively on one person. They cultivate a rich and diverse social ecosystem, and they let that ecosystem speak for itself. So, how does he test or show interest? That is the fifth fact. Playful teasing tests your emotional structure. When he gently teases you, he is not necessarily being cruel. He is testing your confidence. Will you crumble? Will you get defensive? Will you take everything personally and react with anger or hurt? Or will you show that you are secure enough to laugh at yourself and engage in a little light-hearted banter? The smart response is to play along with light-hearted humor, a calm smile, a light-hearted comment. That shows your inner stability is not fragile. It shows that you have a solid sense of self that does not require constant validation or protection. It shows that you can take a joke and give one back without things escalating into conflict or discomfort. What could have been a test ends up becoming a moment of connection. It becomes a shared experience, a little inside joke, a moment of mutual recognition that builds rapport and intimacy. The man who cannot handle teasing reveals his insecurity. The man who can handle it reveals his strength. It is that simple. And this principle applies across a wide range of situations, not just romantic ones. The ability to engage in playful banter is a sign of emotional intelligence, of social awareness, of the kind of grounded confidence that makes people want to be around you. Fact number 6. His primary language is usually non-verbal. Words are merely the surface. They are the tip of the iceberg. Beneath them lies a vast ocean of non-verbal communication that carries far more meaning than the words themselves. Is her body oriented toward you? Is she facing you directly, or is she angled away, ready to escape at any moment? Does she hold eye contact a second longer than usual? Is there a casual brush that seems almost accidental? These are the cues that matter. These are the signals that reveal what is really going on beneath the surface of conscious awareness. Her conscious mind may be saying one thing, but her body is telling a different story. The wise man learns to read these signs. He stops guessing and starts moving with purpose. He does not wait for a verbal declaration that may never come. He pays attention to the language of the body, the language of the eyes, the language of touch and proximity and energy. And he responds in kind, matching her level of interest and engagement, moving forward when she signals openness and pulling back when she signals hesitation. This is not manipulation. It is attunement. It is sensitivity. It is the ability to dance with another person rather than stepping on their toes. And that ability is one of the most powerful tools in the arsenal of the 7%. The seventh fact is a master key to intimacy. Compliment her intentionally, not out of laziness. Notice the details. Her earrings, the way she expressed an intelligent idea, the subtle way she moved her hands when she was explaining something she was passionate about. Even complimenting something intimate is not just about sexuality. It is about showing that you are deeply observant. It is about communicating, I see the thought behind who you are. It is about recognizing her as a complete and complex human being, not just a collection of physical features. Women are bombarded with superficial compliments all the time. They hear that they are beautiful, that they have a great smile, that they have nice eyes, so often that these words lose all meaning. What they rarely hear is that they are insightful, or that they have a unique way of looking at the world, or that they make people feel seen and heard. When you compliment the things that matter, the things that reflect her inner world, you stand out. You become someone who truly sees her, and that is profoundly attractive. It is not about flattery. It is about genuine recognition. It is about paying attention to who she actually is, not who you want her to be, and letting her know that you appreciate that person. And that brings us directly to the eighth fact, the foundation of everything. Emotional connection is the gateway for most women. Physical attraction often arises as a consequence of emotional security and intellectual alignment. It does not work the other way around for most women. They are not drawn to a man solely because of his physical appearance. They are drawn to how he makes them feel. They are drawn to the sense of safety and understanding that he creates. They are drawn to the depth of connection that they experience when they are with him. You build this connection not by acting, but by being genuinely curious. Ask her about the meaning behind her stories. Ask her about the experiences that shaped her. Ask her about her hopes and fears and dreams. And when she answers, listen. Listen to understand, not just to respond. Do not wait for your turn to talk. Do not formulate your next point while she is still speaking. Be fully present with her. Be there in the moment, engaged and attentive. This is how you stop being an option and become a destination. This is how you move from the periphery of her life to the center. This is how you create the kind of bond that does not fade when the initial excitement wears off. It is not about seduction. It is about connection. And connection is the currency of lasting attraction. Ninth fact, her friends are her advisors. Their opinions are not just background noise. They are important information. They are part of the ecosystem of her life, and they influence her decisions in ways that are often invisible to outsiders. Building a genuine and respectful relationship with them does not mean trying to impress them. It does not mean buying them drinks or telling them what they want to hear. It means demonstrating social intelligence and emotional awareness. It means treating them with respect and showing that you understand that she exists within a network, not in isolation. When her friends see that you are a good person, that you treat her well, that you are not a threat or a source of drama, they will advocate for you. They will tell her that they think you are a good match. They will support the connection rather than undermining it. And conversely, if her friends sense something off about you, if they feel that you are disrespectful or unreliable or manipulative, they will warn her away. It is not about winning a popularity contest. It is about being the kind of person that anyone would be happy to see their friend dating. The 7% understand this. They do not dismiss the importance of her social circle. They engage with it authentically and respectfully. The 10th fact acts as a practical filter. Beware of transactional dates. A percentage of women will treat dating as a transaction, as an exchange of attention for resources, as a way to get free meals and entertainment without any genuine interest in the person across the table. These women are not looking for connection. They are looking for a free ride. And the wise man learns to spot this pattern early. He pays attention to her level of engagement. Does she ask questions about his life? Does she show genuine curiosity about who he is? Or does she talk only about herself and what she wants? Does she offer to contribute in any way, even if just a small gesture? Or does she expect him to cover everything without any reciprocation? These are not just questions of etiquette. They are signals of underlying values. They reveal whether she sees him as a person or as a provider. The 7% are not afraid to walk away from these situations. They are not desperate enough to ignore red flags. They know their value, and they are not willing to trade it for a hollow experience with someone who does not see them. They trust their instincts, and they move on when something feels off. This is not about being cynical or bitter. It is about being discerning. It is about protecting your emotional energy and investing it only in situations that have genuine potential. And finally, the 11th truth, which underpins everything that has come before. Women are wired to test for consistency. They are not testing to be cruel or to play games. They are testing because they need to know if you are real. They need to know if the person you present yourself as in the beginning is the same person you will be 6 months or a year or 5 years down the road. Consistency is the bedrock of trust. And trust is the foundation of real intimacy. When a woman tests you, she is not trying to trip you up. She is trying to see if you will hold your ground. She is trying to see if you will react with anger, defensiveness, or insecurity. She is trying to see if you will crumble under pressure or rise to meet the challenge with grace and composure. The man who understands this does not get frustrated by tests. He welcomes them as opportunities to demonstrate his stability. He does not take them personally. He does not react with hostility or withdrawal. He simply stays grounded, stays present, and lets his consistent behavior speak for itself. Over time, the tests diminish. They are replaced by trust. And trust opens the door to a depth of connection that superficial attraction can never achieve. This is the ultimate goal. Not just to attract a woman, but to build something real, something lasting, something that enriches both of your lives. And this is only possible when you have done the inner work to become the kind of man who can pass the tests, not through performance, but through genuine authenticity. The 7% understand that the journey of attraction is actually a journey of self-mastery. They do not try to change women or control them or manipulate them. They focus on becoming the best version of themselves, and they trust that the right women will be drawn to that version. And they are right. Because attraction, at its deepest level, is not about what you do. It is about who you are. When you understand this, you stop chasing and start attracting. You stop struggling and start flowing. You stop wondering what women want and start knowing what they need. And that knowing changes everything.